Optoma has been one of the leading projector manufacturers, providing versatile, high-performance options for big screen entertainment. Two of our favorite projectors for gaming simulations are the Optoma 1080 and ZH406ST. For those unfamiliar with the ZH406ST, it's essentially the exact same projector as the Optoma GT1090HDR. The only difference is support for DCI 4K at 60 Hz. If you just compare the specs of the ZH406ST versus the GT1080HDR, the 406ST seems to come out as the winner. But is it worth paying double the price point of the 1080 for the 406ST? We're going to compare these two projectors on paper and also show some real-world side-by-side comparisons to really get a sense for what these images look like. Hopefully by the end of the video, you'll have an easier decision for which projector is right for you. Coming in at $849.50, the 1080 is a beast of a projector at this price point. The ZH406ST comes with a price point of $1,949.95. As for picture correction, the 1080 comes with digital zoom as well as vertical keystone correction up to 40 degrees. The ZH406ST matches the 1080 in this regards, but it also includes an automatic 4-corner correction system that instantly aligns the image to your screen. The biggest difference between these two projectors is the light source used to project the image. The 1080 uses a lamp, while the ZH406ST uses laser. Now, laser is generally going to give you a better picture quality, and that's why you see the 406ST blowing away the 1080 in specs like contrast ratio, light source life, and light output. The 406ST is the winner when it comes to picture quality, but its better specs don't necessarily mean better in real-world applications. Later in this video, we will show you our side-by-side comparisons to show the difference in picture quality between the two projectors. The life of the light source, even using the brightest, most taxing settings on the 1080, will give you 167 full 24-hour days worth of use, which would take even the most avid user a long time to meet. That being said, you'll probably never need to replace the 406ST with its 30,000 hour life. That would be like running the projector for 3.5 years, 24/7. Both projectors will probably last you many years of use, but if you never want to replace or buy another projector in the future, the 406ST is for you. A typical acceptable input lag for gamers is 30 milliseconds or lower. Both of the projectors are well below the 30 millisecond mark, but the Optoma 1080 actually has the advantage here with about half the input lag of the ZH406ST. This, paired with its high refresh rate of 160 Hz, gives it exceptional performance using enhanced gaming mode. The winner here, the Optoma 1080. For those planning on using your projector as an audio source as well, the 406ST beats the competition with 2 built-in speakers instead of just 1. That being said, we'd recommend using a different audio source altogether if you're looking for really great audio quality. So now we're going to do the real-world test for our GT1080HDR and ZH406ST projectors. So starting off, we're going to show you how easy it is to set these up with the keystone and 4-corner correction systems. So first off, we're looking at our GT1080HDR projector. This one, you can probably see we've got 2 projectors set up down there, so it's not perfectly centered on the screen. When you're setting yours up, you do want to make sure that you have it nice and centered because there is no horizontal keystone correction on it. So you want to make sure it's right dead center on your screen so you get a nice square image on there. After we got it all set up, we went in and we did make some adjustments to the vertical keystone correction so that the image squared up pretty well on the screen. You can see the different adjustments that you can make there. think we had it set to -7. You can go in, adjust your color, adjust brightness, all that sort of stuff in here to find an image that works well for your area. So here now we have the 406 setup. This one, it has both horizontal and vertical keystone correction, which is nice because if you can't get it perfectly centered on the screen, you're gonna be able to make those adjustments to get it to fill basically the entire area. This one, our screen is a 16:10 aspect ratio, so you'll notice there is some blank space on the top and bottom because this is a 16:9 projector. So next we performed a brightness test where we used a light meter to measure the amount of light that hits the screen from each projector. The ZH406ST gave us a lux reading of 180 at 9 feet from the projector to the screen. We did the same test with the 1080 and got a reading of 100 lux, which we weren't surprised by because the 1080 is rated for less lumen output than the 406ST. After testing brightness, we did a color and sharpness comparison. One thing to note on short throw projectors is that the focus of the entire image can vary depending on its placement and keystone. Since we mounted the projectors on the floor, the ceiling edge of the projected image has a slightly different focus than the floor edge. And this is because the floor edge is physically closer to the projector than the ceiling. And we found the best way to focus the projectors for these scenarios is to balance the clarity of the edges of your image with that of the center of the image. Moving along, in terms of the sharpness on the 1080, you can see a drop off in the image clarity here where it gets a lot harder to distinguish between the individual lines on the image. These color bands that you see in the image are created by the camera's sensor. It's not something that you would observe in real life. To try and explain it technically, these show up because the camera's shutter speed isn't able to perfectly sync up with the refresh rate of the projected image. This won't be something that you'd observe using these projectors, but it could come into play if you plan on using swing cameras. Just try to pretend it's not there for now. Now, looking at the dynamic range, if we take a look down here at this black and white bar, there should be another distinct line in this general area where you should be able to see another shade of gray, which as far as we can tell, we aren't able to see. Then, looking at the color gradient bar up here, you can see that there are certain gradients of color that this projector struggles with, like oranges moving from red to yellow and blue moving into purple. It's kind of one massive color instead of smoothly transitioning from one color to the next. It seems to handle purple to red decently and yellow to green to blue quite well. So here we have the image from the ZH406ST, and right off the bat you can see just how much of a difference the laser projected image makes over the lamp projected image of the 1080. So looking down here at the grayscale bar, it's pretty clear on this one that there's a distinct separation between the two different shades of gray that we weren't able to see on the 1080. This grayscale gradient bar was almost completely black up until this area on the 1080, whereas here it's much more gradual from light to dark. So you're getting a lot better dynamic range with this projector than you are on the 1080. Also, the color gradients have much more color information in the image. There's much more gradual distinction between the movement between the colors. I think, especially when we look at this area on the 1080, it was kind of a dark blue blob basically. So you can see it goes from this blue to dark purple, gradually fading to pinks towards red. When looking at the sharpness, there might be a little more distinction in this area over the 1080, but looking at the top grids, I think you can more clearly see these lines than you could on the GT1080HDR. Here's an example of how these projectors look with some ambient light if you don't have a light-controlled space. We're sitting at about 30 lux or so with our ambient brightness hitting the screen, so this is what the screen will look like in a non-light controlled area. So which projector should you buy? If picture quality and durability are your main concerns, the Optoma ZH406ST is the best projector for you. On the other hand, the GT1080HDR will appeal to both serious gamers and budget-conscious buyers, offering both the lowest input lag and a much lower price tag. So while the 406 we think clearly gave us the best image, if you're on a budget and you have a price point that you're trying to get underneath, the 1080 HDR is still a great projector. And in the future, you can always make the choice to upgrade to something like the 406. The good news is that both of these projectors are user-friendly, versatile, and will produce a stunningly true-to-life image. We hope this review has helped you decide which one is the best choice for you. Thank you for watching our video, and if you like these kinds of comparisons, let us know in the comments below what you might like to see compared. As always, make sure you like and subscribe for more content on building your own golf simulator setup.